One. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to today's show. All right. Today, we're going to have a few questions for our host today. Would you lovely ladies introduce yourself?
Hey guys, this is Tavonna. Thanks for joining us today as we discuss a very interesting topic and get to be in the hot seat today. So make sure you post your questions in the chat with us via the chat cast and invite others to join.
Hi, you guys. I'm Deborah. And again, thank you for joining the podcast and everything else that Tavonna said.
I have the first question for you ladies today. I'm going to read it out for our listeners to hear. First question is, do you believe friendships between men and women can truly be platonic? Why or why not? And what are some common misconceptions about friendships with the opposite sex? In any particular order, you can decide who's going to go first.
So I think that is definitely possible. And it's I think it really depends on people are just you're human, right? So the way that itself is set up is male female, right? So there's a male, there's a female, every species. So that's just how we're bred to be attracted to the opposite sex. But you can definitely have friendships with people that there is no attraction to. But side, you have strictly friends, and then over time, because you spend so much time together or you talk about everything under the sun, you could wake up, look at that person and feel and see something different, so it's possible. But I think a misconception is that it can't happen. If you're friends with a man, you have to sleep with him, or if you're friends with the one, eventually sleep with them, and that's just not the case.
That's true. Deborah?
I agree with Tavonna. My best friend of over 20 years is a male. Like my true best friend. He's a male. I met him in the 7th grade and he has been a rock for me in so many different situations. And so as far as I'm concerned, those relationships can definitely be platonic. We've never kissed. We've never done anything sexual, nothing like that. His family is my family is his family. And he has 2 brothers who are also like best friends to me because we all like grew up in the same circle. Same thing with them. I'm little sis, because they're all older than me. And when I introduced them as my brothers because they have come to be. Like they've shared the birth of my son. I've shared the birth of their children, the ones that do have them. And I feel like it's all in who you are and the integrity that you hold within yourself. I'm not going to call you a brother if I'm doing sexual things with you. That's just, I'm not going to do that. But I'm also not going to fake and act like if, if we've been there and done that, we can still be friends after if it wasn't anything serious, but just how you handle and move with people once you're in a relationship, that's what you have to be cognizant of, whatever that word is.
I want to
And I
go
agree.
ahead.
I think I agree with what she said because, you know, to me, friendship is a spectrum, right? So, and you can have friendships that go here, there, which way, come back around, go. You see what I'm saying? So, you can have something that was platonic, might have crossed the line, and then went back to platonic, or you know what I'm saying? So, I think it just really is about the intent of, of the person or the people involved, and then just being able to be honest about what it is.
Can you see our second question that was posted?
It says, how do you establish boundaries in friendships with the opposite sex to avoid misunderstanding? I think that's communication, right? Like if I have a male friend and I have no desire to want anything more, that's going to be very known. Like, and it will be my expectation that if they looked at it in a different way, that they would say that as well, so that I can kind of feel comfortable, whatever. But I think it's about the only way to establish those boundaries is through the communication.
Deborah?
I agree. I mean, it does. Communication is going to be the key, the key, honesty amongst other things. It can affect the relationship if the person that you're dealing with, doesn't understand that. And maybe, I mean, not everybody is the same. So, whereas I may have friends that I've never messed with, the guy that I'm dealing with may have friends that he always messed with, or you know what I'm saying? So in his mind, it's I do it, so everyone do it. I've definitely encountered that. Doesn't make it true, but you will encounter those things. I have never had to change or end a friendship. I'm not gonna change my friendships just because you come into the picture. I'm really not. Either you're going to be secure enough within yourself to trust me and know that, this is my soul tribe and that's why they're here. That's why they're around. They can also become your soul tribe if that's what we're, you know what I'm saying, moving towards. But outside of that, like I'm not going to do anything that I wouldn't, like anything that I don't ask or like I won't do anything to you that I don't want done to me like that. So I'm not going to ask of you to stop being friends with maybe a female friend that you've been friends with for 20 plus years. I feel some type of way. I'm going to get to know her, see what y'all's relationship is like, and then make a determining factor of if you're being honest with me about what this relationship is.
Question: would you all have a problem with your significant other being friends with someone that they have had a sexual relationship with in the past? Like it was years ago, 20 years past. That person's now married. Lives with different places. Somebody dealt with in high school, college, whatever. The relationship didn't work. They moved on. They're married. I'm now with you. Is it okay if they like communicated with each other?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that because at the end of the day, let's be very clear. Whatever a human wants to do, a human is gonna do, right? So it doesn't what it don't matter. If you say this is you dealt in the past, we don't anymore, I'm gonna take you at face value. Now, if I find out that that is not true, I that doesn't even matter to me. All that matters to me is that you weren't honest, right? Because
Right.
if it wasn't a friend, if it was somebody, I would still be the act of what you did is not my issue. It's the dishonesty that's my issue, right? So, because I have friends like that. I have friends that were, you know, whatever from college or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, that was 20 plus years ago. I talked to their spouses, you know what I'm saying? It's nothing. And it will remain nothing unless one of us decide we don't want it to be nothing, right? Because again, I do two grown humans. You see what I'm saying? Because yes, there is a past. If we've already established that that was when we was like 19 years old, we in our 40s now, ain't nobody thinking about that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think sometimes, and I'm not saying all, but the insecurity of with the issue is the issue, right? You're insecure because you feel like you don't want this dude around that knows what your wife looked like naked. Well, y'all both them been with other people before each other. So what's the like? You know what I'm saying? Why are you worried about this particular person? So it's just it to me it's just kind of weird to feel some kind of way about something that happened before you.
I noticed a lot of people get upset about that. That's just something that I've never had an issue with. like you said earlier, I have more of an issue with the lying. Don't lie about it. That's the issue. But some people don't realize that. They try to make it out to be about a different person, for whatever reason. And the person may seem like, oh, yeah, they're upset about this or that, you know, but it's about lying. Like if you could tell me and be honest, that's cool. We've all, like you said, we all have a past. We've all dealt with others, but no need to lie about it. But I think that the lying comes from them internalizing the situation. Like they probably would not trust it or would not like it or accept it. So they think that you won't. So they lie to you about it.
Well, we all know that lying is rooted in fear, right? You're afraid of the consequence. You're afraid of what is going to be the outcome. So if you have a friend from college, y'all used to, kick it, have sex, whatever. 20 years later, y'all are friends, y'all hee hee ha ha when y'all see each other, whatever the case may be, but there has been nothing since college, right? If y'all start, or maybe you just started back talking, or maybe you've been talking this whole time, but then again, like you said, something might happen, or you might see them, or you might, it could happen, right? You could be like, look at them one day like, hey, that reminded me of, you know what I'm saying? The college them. If that's at the point you have to be honest, not after the fact, right? Because you should be able to come to your partner and say, hey, I was with such and such today, or I was on the phone with such and such today, and man, like this flashback hit me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have that type of openness, not after you have the flashback, then you done had another
Or you acted on it.
flashbacks, not even stuff, right? That's gonna lead up to actually doing something when you could have just been honest months before.
Um,
Yeah, I agree. The honesty is gonna be the main key to it, and being honest, like she said before, you go do something out of character.
It's hard for
And
some
I
people to
would
be honest.
argue, I would even argue about the out, because people are not one dimensional. And when people say, oh, well, that's not in my character, sure it is. It definitely is in your character. It's probably just not the part of your character that's seen 99% of the time, right? If you go out here and you cuss somebody out once every 2 years, you can't say, oh, they took me out of my character. I was out of character. No, you was definitely in character, because the character that came out today was Sasha. But every other day, you Tiffany. You see what I'm saying? Don't act like Sasha is not part of your character. It is. You see what I'm saying? So that is something that I think people have to really come to grips with too, is that you are a multifaceted person. You have different layers to who you are.
So look at the next question that was posed for you all. So how can having close friends of the opposite sex affect romantic relationships? And are there ways to ensure trust remains intact? And have you ever had to change or end a friendship with the opposite sex due to a romantic relationship? How did that feel?
Well, I think we just talked about that. It's the communication. That answers the first question. How, when dealing with it, how do you ensure the trust remains intact? You honest. But like Deborah said, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm grown, first of all. So I'm not changing no friend, not change. I'm not doing none of that because of your insecurity. If you're insecure about that, you can go ahead and go on about your business, because I'm not doing it. Now, I will
100%.
say, like, in the past, like, this is how I feel now, but in the past, yeah, I did try to conform and make adjustments for other people. You know what I'm saying? And, oh, well, he doesn't like it, so I'm not going to. I would never do that now, right? Because I know now that that didn't work. Because at the end of the day, the insecurity was still there. Talk to them no more. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was still there. Because even if I said, okay, then it was, well, y'all don't need to be friends on. Well, y'all don't need to be. And it was like, come on now. Like, you want me to just,
Will this ever
like,
end?
totally out, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, total existence. That's weird. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, definitely not. Like I I mean, I've dealt with that with my ex where I took him around. The crazy thing is I took him around to a barbecue that was being had so that he could like meet my friends. And this wasn't even the first time he was around my friends. This might have been like the third time. But, first two times, whatever, even this third time, you know, our camaraderie is always the same. The way we joke with each other, the way we laugh with each other, the way we interact with each other, it's always the same. It's never inappropriate, but it's always consistent. So, the fact that you can see, okay, this is how they roll. This is how they, gets together. This is what they do. They do Sunday dinners with, their friends, things like that. I got accused because I won a card game, and my friend, my guy friend who I was playing against, because he got emotional about it, because it was quite a bit of money that I took from him, because he got emotional about it. My whatever he was at the time, he
Support.
felt some sort of way, and yeah, well, it was I was supposed to be married to. So, it was that whole deal. That's why I said whatever he was at the time. But, he didn't like it. And when we got home, like he acted a whole donkey while we were there, right? But then but he never said, not once while we were there did he say anything way about the guy. But then as soon as we left and we got in the car, it was like a whole flip. Oh, so you effing him, and you know what I'm saying? Y'all got something going
Mhm.
on, because why he react like that? Like why he get so emotional? I said he just lost like $200 in a card game. Like, I don't know, maybe he was broke today. Maybe he really shouldn't have been playing with that money. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, he's not even someone I would even think about to even go there with. You know what I'm saying? Like, the thought never even crossed my mind. So the fact that it's crossing your mind, issue.
Well, we have a
And I
great
really think it's just
comment. Hold 1 second. I apologize. Kat said, no shade, but if your partner feels comfortable enough to dictate who you can and can't keep in your life, that's isolation. It's ensuring you have no one to fall back on except him.
Well, oh, Kat, thank you for joining. I'm not sure if I don't remember seeing Kat before, but if you continue to listen, you will know that the ladies on this panel don't have that problem. we not we not isolated from nothing. Trust me, there's
right,
plenty options.
right,
But he's saying, I get,
100%.
but I agree with
But
what you're saying, the intent of that the guy's intention
I do.
is like,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
agree with that. Yeah, I
yeah.
do agree with that because I know it happens, and I know that people do it, and it is. I think again, it's about
Right, it's a
the
tactic.
security. It is a tactic, and it goes back to tying into like what the podcast is about is like these relationships that started way before this relationship. This can go all the way back to somebody's childhood and what they were taught and how they were taught about male and female relationships because most men were taught that your lady should not be around other men. Like you should be her only man, the one and only, blah, 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 blah. She gotta, you know, be loyal to you and this, that, and the third. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's how most men are taught. So to think, and most men are also taught that don't bring your lady around no other dudes. No other dudes need to be around your lady, da 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 da, because they gonna try to push up on her. You know what I'm saying? Mindset of the man that you are always going to have a problem because he's going to look at every single man as a possible swinging penis that can enter into your body. That's all he cares about. Like he don't care nothing about y'all been friends for 20 years. He just looking at it as that's a man, you fine. So eventually he gonna want it.
Now I will say, I will change. certain ways that I do things with my friends when I get into a relationship, right? Because there's been times like, end of a night, drunk, sleep, you know what I'm saying? Drunk, tired, whatever. And I've slept in the bed with my best friend. You know what I'm saying? Never nothing, clothes on, drooling all over each other, whatever have you. Like, I've done that. But if I'm in a relationship, clearly that's not something that I'm going to do. Clearly I'm going to think twice about that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to let something like that happen to where you even have to think, is there something going on? I may not hang out. You get what I'm saying? As I normally do, because now I have to balance my time between, my relationship, my maybe, being a mom, whatever, and my friendships. But it's also keeping a healthy balance within all three,
Can you all see this question
Absolutely.
that was just asked?
Yes, it says, do you think friendships with the opposite sex bring emotional support than same sex? If how so? I think because it really just depends on the type of friendship, because like I have male best friend and I have a female best friend. And when I talk to, sometimes I want the quote unquote male perspective that I know my female friend cannot give me, right? Because she's not a male, and vice versa. So it's a little different to have a opposite sex friend than it is to have a same sex friend. You can get different ideas, you can get different feedback, you can get, you know what I'm saying, all of that from the opposite sex friend, where it might be a little different from your same sex friend. And then it says, what are the challenges of managing emotional closeness? So that's the thing. Emotions are things that you really can't control, right? And just the laws of nature sometimes will kick in. And just like people make the choice to be monogamous or make the choice to be with multiple people or whatever, dating, you make those same type of choices when it comes to friendships with the opposite sex. So if you and John have been friends for 30 years and you don't want this to go any further, you have no, you know what I mean? Then that's a choice that you have made. And so you stick to that choice. But if you decide again one day that now John looks a little different to you, figure out what choice you make today, because now the choice from yesterday don't apply because John didn't look like that in your eyes yesterday. So again, it's about being honest with yourself. It's about being honest with your friend. It's about being honest with your partner. It just, comes.
I agree. I definitely, it does bring different emotional support than same sex friendships, friendships with the opposite sex. Because, like, for me, the men that I have around me, they are providers, they are protectors. So there's been moments in my life where I needed stuff. You get what I'm saying? Like, case in point, when I decided, to leave Florida and I was, headed back to Georgia, it was a really rough time for me, a really low point for me. And I called up my best friend and I said to him, like, I want to come home, but I can't afford to come home. And within 3 hours, he had got with, the rest of our friend group and he was sending me money. He was like, come home. You get what I'm saying? Those are the type of friends that I have. So in that way, I feel like no matter what's going on in my life, he's going to show up as the man that I need him to be. But I don't ever need him to be anything sexual to me. But I do need him to be a support system. I do need to know that if times get hard for me, he can step in and help me, because it's a vice versa thing. He's had his moments and I've stepped in 100%, regardless of how anyone, wanted to feel about it. It lets me know. And they're upstanding men that I love to have around my son. So that's another big thing for me, because some of them are single dads. totally took their child from the mother and raising them with no problem, no issues. Some of them, mother's still in the picture. They're coping, maybe some issues here and there, but nothing major. Never a thing like. I think the quality and the caliber of people that you keep around you will determine what your life looks like. 100%.
I agree with both of you. And I think that, just looking at the question again, friendship with the opposite sex does bring a different emotional support. Because if I have an issue and I'm just thinking about discussing it with my male friends, what perspective they're going to bring versus my female friends. And especially if I want to know something about women and dealing with women and, what approach my female friends have, for the most part, been, pretty accurate, over 80% accurate, right? There are some things that may have been exclusive to my wife that I should know myself from being with her. But just in general, the things that they've said to me. I remember my wife trying to argue with me one day, and I just kept saying, okay, like in a calm tone. And my friend was on the phone with me, and I was telling my wife, I said, well, I'm on the phone. And she just kept going on and on. I said, well, I'm not going to argue with you. And my friend said to me, she was like, Koshon, that alone would piss me off. I was like, what do you mean? She said, I don't know your wife specifically, but a lot of women, when they have something to say and they want to engage, they want you to engage with them. I said, but I'm not going to argue. I don't do that. And I explained to my friend, I said, I've explained this to my wife that before my parents got divorced, they used to argue. I saw my dad fight my mom. So I said to myself, I'll never fight a woman. I'm not going to even argue with a woman. Call it what you like. Say I need whatever counseling, whatever, but this is how I am. And she knew that going in. So you can't expect me to engage and sit there and argue with her. But I understood it better hearing from a woman. My male friends, like, yo, bro, hey, man, just get your truck and leave, man. Don't go back and forth like that, man. They're thinking like I'm thinking, but I think that friends of an opposite sex will definitely bring a needed perspective to help me understand, women. And, motives are different with, men and women as far as how they're the space that they're advising me from. So I think that could help a lot with having a true friend. Now, the challenges of managing emotional closeness in opposite sex friendships, I think that the closer I've gotten with my friends of the opposite sex, which I really have like three really, really close, that I see them as sisters. Nothing, no attraction, nothing at all. They're like siblings, literally like siblings. So I've never had to deal with that, saying, oh man, that was my friend and I started to like her. Maybe when I was younger, I think that happened. I had a really close friend. We were like good friends from elementary or fifth, sixth grade, and then we both hit a spot in like high school, where our bodies started to develop. My little voice got deeper, you know, picked up a little muscles here and there. She's growing in different places, and I kind of noticed it. It didn't affect our friendship, but I noticed it a little more versus 10, 11, 12-year-old kids where we were just platonic friends, So I can kind of see how that may be challenging in some instances if you're friends from a very young age. But I do love your perspectives.
And
Tavonna,
I will
Deborah,
say so, Sean.
I think
go
that
ahead.
I, oh, go ahead, Deborah.
I was just gonna say, like, with your situation, Koshan, like, it's the one thing I think where your friend was right with you, right? But on the other end of that spectrum, as a woman looking at it, I'm also not going to be trying to argue with you while you are on a phone, like on the phone with someone else. Like, that to me is just blatant disregard and disrespect of not only me, but whoever I may be trying to have a conversation with, right? And
Right.
if you have something you have to say to me, then that's fine. And again, we can table this for a moment. Let me finish my phone call, and then we can come back and have this we can have this conversation. We don't have to argue about it, but we can definitely have this conversation, and I can hear whatever it is that you need to say.
I think she
So
wanted me to
on
end the call. She wanted me to end the
and
call
maybe
to
so
argue
because
with her.
women. Yes, women a lot of times will think that way, but if we're being fair, if she was on the call and you were trying to argue with her, I'm sure she wouldn't just end that call either. She's gonna try to put you in your place in some way, shape, form, or fashion to let you know that's unacceptable. At least I would if it was me. You get what I'm saying? Like, and it's different if I was already on the call versus if I try to make this call in the middle of this conversation. Then we have a problem. But I pay them on you. I don't care who's on the phone. But if you were already engaged in this conversation before I tried to have this conversation, then I'm gonna wait and I'm gonna let you do what you need to do, and then we can sit down and talk about this.
I get
Yeah, I
that.
agree
I
with
just
that.
think that's the
And
more.
here's my I don't want I have friends, right? I look at things a little bit different. Like I only have like maybe one or two like what I would consider like my best friends, female friends, right? And so I have an issue, not issue, but I really don't really subscribe to oh my man is my best friend. No, he ain't. Like, he my friend. Like, we cool and I can talk to him sometimes too. But when I really want to like get down and dirty and vent and talk, I'm calling my best friend, especially if I need, cause I'm gonna have to talk about you sometime. And I can probably tell you how I feel, but not the way I'm gonna say it and really, get it out with my best friend. You know what I'm saying? So I think that you do have to have a friend. It could be someone of the opposite sex because you need to have someone that is on the outside of your relationship that you can talk to, that you can be open and honest, and you should be open and honest in your relationship too. Like right now, the person that I'm dealing with he is my male best friend. But we've been that way for so long. And it was definitely one of those things that just kind of was like, oh, okay, now this is something different. You know what I mean? And it went a whole crazy direction. But at the end of the day, he is still literally my second best friend. Like the same things that I talk to with my female best friend is what I talk to with him. Like when dudes hop in my DM, I'm like, you're not gonna believe this sucker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the conversations that we have because he is my friend and we both are very aware that even if this side of the relationship was to ever stop, the friendship part will never stop.
Well, we have a difference of opinions. I get what you're saying with having a best friend and certain things would be exclusive to your best friend. And I think that once you get to a marriage, right, your best friends should respect that you're married. Now, my married male friends, they're married. Hey, I anticipate anything that I discuss with them, I assume that it could become pillow talk because I think that when you should be forsaken to all others, and that is your person. That is the person that you should trust, the person you should confide in. And I just assume, that's just my assumption, that whatever I say to my best friends that are married, their wives will know. And I think that to support their marriage and help with their bond, I fall back a little. Like, you're my friend, you're my dog, you're my best friend. If you ever need me, I'm here. But I know that we aren't going to be on the phone on a
Well, you
Saturday
better
for an
shut your
hour
mouth.
watching the game. We're not going to be on the phone on a Saturday for an hour watching the game. Reserve that time for you and your wife. You
Why
can do
you
what you do.
doing?
But
Sorry.
Yeah, I think it really depends. Like I think that kind of goes to what your question was about the societal norms and the cultures and, things like that. What shapes your views on, those things? Like you mentioned the vows, like forsaking all others, like, ugh, like That is horrible. Nobody forsakes all others. Like, it's just not
Some people
happening.
really
Like,
do. Some people
some
do.
people really lie. No, some people really lie about doing, because it's just not. I mean, I guess if you have some kind of weird, but when you talk about forsake all others, that would literally mean that this person that you are married to is your end all be all for everything in your life. And that's not the case.
When they come first,
And
they come
so
before
there's
others.
going
It's
to
going to be friends. Like they're going to come before friends. I mean, I wouldn't call it weird. It's just that some people really believe in that. That
no,
they
I
subscribe
agree that some people really do believe in that. I just don't think it's realistic.
to
I
exclude
personally
others.
don't think. No, you're
I
not going
think
to
it can
exclude
happen.
others.
It just takes practice. It just takes some practice and dedication.
It takes knowing what you subscribe to, right? It takes knowing what you are, your limitations or your abilities or what your wants and needs are, right? Like when I got married, that wasn't even in my vows.
They're forsaking all others.
Hell yeah. It was purposefully left out, because even then I thought it was stupid to say, because it was unrealistic, because it means the connotation of it means so much, and you can bring so many things back to that and say you broke the vow, you didn't forsake all others. It could be talking to somebody, it could be, I mean, you can put so many things under that umbrella. You know what I'm saying? Of forsake all others. And I just wasn't willing to do that. I wasn't willing to, to agree to that.
Sometimes I might have to forsake you. So
There you
shoot.
go. Right?
I just
Like, forsake all others. I'm not doing that, because I might need a other, and I'm not about to stand up here before God and these ugly people and like lie. Like, I'm not doing that. So I
What
didn't
does
say
that
but why
mean to
they
you?
gotta be ugly people?
I didn't say obey, and I didn't say forsake all others. Them two things was not in there. So, because I knew my limitations going. So everything that happened in my marriage, I can honestly say there was no vow broken on my end, because I didn't say that. So I didn't vow to that. So you can't come like, oh, well, no, because I ain't never vowed to that. I ain't never tell you from the beginning that I was going to do that.
Right.
So again, this is where those knowing who you are, not just falling into these customary cultural societal things that go against who you are as a person. Right? And if you know that about yourself, why would you do that knowing that that's not something that you can live up to? I already knew that about myself. I was not about to put myself in that position.
So what
Right.
does forsaking all others mean to you?
It
You're
meant
breaking up
for
now. You're
in
starting to
in
break up.
in every aspect. I, I wasn't going to forsake all others emotionally. I wasn't going to forsake all others mentally. I wasn't going to forsake all others physically. I wasn't going to forsake all others sexually. I wasn't forsaking all others in no aspect of however they was
Hold up,
trying to
hold up,
frame
hold
it.
up, hold up. Back it up. Back it up. You
Koshon was about to back it
back
up.
it up. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back it up. We gotta.
What?
Yeah. Back it up. Back it up. Back it up.
About
You
it.
That
said.
what?
You
What?
said. Deborah, go ahead. Say it, Deborah. Well, you help me pull up, Deborah.
You have to forsake all others sexually now. Come on now. You
No, I
said
did
that
not.
as
No, I didn't say it.
I mean, while you're
I didn't say
married,
that.
yes.
Nope, I didn't agree to that, because again,
Oh
I
Lord.
didn't subscribe to that in I'm
Oh
not
Lord.
gonna tell you that I'm gonna do, because again, realistically, no, this is again my thoughts and my processing. I
Correct.
don't believe that I could vow that I never would desire another man till death do me part. I'm not about to lie to you.
But desiring
I'm not about to do that.
and you can desire someone without
Okay.
actually
I
taking
wasn't
the
I
leap
wasn't gonna
to.
tell nobody and lie to nobody and say this is the last piece of penis ever in my life till death that I'm gonna have. I'm not doing that.
Now
I'm
I
sorry.
understand that part. That I
I
understand
can't
because
agree.
that
I
you
can't
don't know.
agree to that, because to me that's what forsaking all others meant. And I knew, I was like, in my 30s. I'm not about to tell you that. I'm not about to lie to you. I ain't saying that I'm just about to go find it and do it, but I'm saying I understand instinctually what goes on in my brain, in my body, and I just could not make that promise.
Yeah, like for me, I would like I'm not a cheater. I've never cheated or anything like that, but I I will walk away from a situation if I feel like I no longer need to be there. If I feel like I want to go and explore elsewhere, if I even get that inkling, I'm gonna end what we have here and walk away and then go do my thing because I myself don't want any, residual, any backlash, anything, to really follow me from one situation to the next. I don't want to move into another situation while I'm in one. I don't want to, muddy the waters with one situation because of another one. I just feel like I am a firm believer in closing out a cycle before you move forward with whoever said person is so that you can move on with a clean slate. Which, yeah, I can't say that I would forsake all others sexually either. You know what I'm saying? Because you may not be the last person I am with sexually for the rest of my life.
Right. And that's just
However,
thing again, it just has become customary and it becomes it's just the vows that's there and you just say them and you're not even really are you really thinking about what that really means? Like you're not. And so my thing is, and I firmly believe this, unless you made that covenant, then you're not cheating. Like if you made that covenant, if you stood up there on your wedding day and you made that covenant and agreed that you're going to forsake all others and then you go and sleep with somebody, you are a cheater. You lied and you broke the covenant. But if you ain't never agreed to that, then you ain't cheating. Cause I ain't never, that's what I was going to do.
I mean, you still cheating now, but
How is it?
I can't hold your feet to the fire about it because you never said that that's what you were gonna do. But let's call it hey now.
I never agreed, never told you that because if you really think about it, I think we've talked about most people are not upset that their significant other entered into somebody else's body, right? It's the lie that along with the deception. It was you know what I'm saying? That's what really gets people, not the actual act. So if you take away the deception and you take away the lying about it and you take away all of that, most people are not really that mad. Like they might still be mad, but they're not as mad. So for me, it was one of them like, listen, we gotta know what this is from the beginning. So if we knew that this was, and my thing was to be honest, if that was ever a time and a space that came about, if you didn't do that, now it's still like, well, why didn't you just say that? You see what I'm saying?
You know what's crazy, Savannah?
Huh?
I said, you know what's crazy? For me, it's the opposite. I wouldn't be I'm not going to be as mad about the deception and the lying as I am about the act of it because for me, the things that I want to do and the openness sexually that I want to have with my partner, I can't be that way with you if I know you are with other people. So for me, it is the opposite. It's the act of it that's going to make me walk away. It's not the deception behind it. The deception behind it, I probably would be able to forgive, right? But where I draw the line is the fact that you could be putting my sexual health in jeopardy because you chose to step out in a manner in which no one coming back to now have to think about other things. I can't be as sexually open as I want to be in this relationship now, which means there's no point for me to be here any longer. Because I'm not about to stop having the type of sexual activities that I want to have.
And I think it's all of that. And it's definitely everybody has to figure out what it is for them and how the value that you put on it, you know what I'm saying? All of that kind of stuff comes into play. And again, just tying back into the topic, had a male friend or a female friend or opposite sex friend, and for some reason the line got crossed, most of this is just most of the time you can cross back, right? You can say, oops, we had like you were saying, you had a drunk night or whatever. You can, if you cross over the line, you can come back, right? Most of the time that's what happens. But then if there's
especially if it
no
wasn't
honesty
good.
about,
If
Right,
it wasn't
especially
good.
because
oh
if it
my
wasn't good, it didn't happen in my mind. It
I
didn't happen.
Oh my God. That's
I
all.
don't even count it. Like, you don't even get a notch on my belt if it wasn't good. I'm not even gonna
Oh
lie
hear
to
my
you.
people,
goodness
I hear
I
gracious.
would
women say
never,
that.
I would never
If,
mention you again.
You
yeah, they
ain't
say if
gotta
it wasn't
mention
good,
it,
it
but
didn't
it
count.
definitely is still a notch on the belt. So
Girl, it ain't on mine. In my delusion, there
you
is
can't
just not
write
a
it
notch
off
on
like
my
it
belt.
didn't happen. It definitely happened.
Look, I'm delusional, okay? I get real delusional when it comes to bad sex. I don't care what nobody say,
Oh,
okay?
that's funny. And I think for me, that would probably be my, like, friend. We have been friends since I was 18 years old. 17, 18. He actually dated one of my high school, my best high school. And we all used to hang out together, all the three of us or whatever. And they were dating, and I went off to college. They were still dating, well, kicking it. I don't even know if you can call it dating, but, and then he realized that he had feelings for me, like he actually liked. And so he broke up with my friend in front of me and told her he was breaking up with her like me. And to this day, and this dude are still friends. We have slept in the same bed. We have, like, we see, if I'm in his city, we'll go to dinner. You know what I'm saying? Like, what we have just made the conscious decision that even though we know that there's a little sexual tension there, the friendship means way more to us. And we have both said we are afraid of further because we want to lose the friendship, right? We are afraid of what could happen. We cross the line. You see what I'm saying? So I think like I said, it's possible to have these friends where it doesn't cross the line, but you have to have these open, honest conversations about what your friendship to look like.
What can you do to ensure the trust though in someone else? Like if you want to remain friends with someone that you've had encounters with, but now you're in a relationship or you're getting married, or what do
Again,
you
you
do?
have to be honest. Like, okay, I have another person.
Transparency.
The
Transparency.
transparency, right? So I had got married the second time, and I was very honest about everything. Like, people were like, I cannot believe you told him all. Like, I literally, okay, listen, it's him, 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 him. If we would go somewhere, I'd be like, oh damn, him too. Like, he knew everything. Like, I didn't want him to hear nothing from nobody else. Like, he knew about everybody from my past. And so there was this one particular person, and this person is now, like, we do business together. Like, so we talk on, a pretty much regular basis because he's intertwined into parts of my business. And I had to make it very clear, like, okay, you do know that there is that history, but this person used to come to my house. They actually had some things in common between two of them, to where he would come to the house and they would sit around and watch football. Like, it was because, again, I had already put that transparency out there that this is what it was 20 something years ago. It's not that now. It's not even nothing close to that now. He is not an issue. And it was never an issue. It was never an issue. And my husband at the time did not seem to have a problem with it. Now, hindsight being 2020, once we started going through the divorce and all of that, I found out that that was all a lie. He absolutely did have a problem with it, which was even weirder because it was like, you let this man come in our house and y'all be chilling and all, but on this whole time you had a problem with it. That's weird because I
It's
take
fake.
things at face value. And so if you told me you didn't have a problem with it, then I don't think you have a problem with it. Hiding the fact that you really had a problem with it was weird to me.
No problem.
And the fact that you lied about it, you can't never bring it up to me because the minute you do, baby, no.
Yeah, because I'm thinking you was cool because you said you was cool. How am I so I'm gonna treat you like you cool? How was I supposed to know that you wasn't really cool? I'm not.
Right.
That's weird. That's weird. Cause he was like, you had that nigga in the house. I didn't mean to say that. You had this dude in the house. And I'm like, you invited him over. I'm confused. Like, all of this came out like much later. And I'm like,
After
come
the fact.
on now. Like,
Yeah, he could
that's
have been
weird.
honest
Like,
about
you know,
how he felt.
exactly. Exactly. And this is my point. So it's like when people can't be, then what do you do with that? Like,
So it's so funny because like I had a situation where, on the day that I had my wedding, DJ for my wedding was the one of the people who was an option to be Carter's dad. They don't have. But I think I've already actually told you guys about that. You know how I wasn't sure who exactly it was just due to the time frame. And so I was just honest with everyone about everything. But like, he's a great DJ, like, the other guy. And so when it came to my wedding, and he's still also a good friend of mine, even still, we run in the same friend circle. So he's always around in a lot of different ways. And so, when I thought about it, and I'm like, I need a DJ. I know he's a DJ. Let me call and ask and see if he'll be willing to do it. I was honest with him and I told him, you're coming to DJ my wedding. Are you comfortable with that? Are you okay with it? I never said nothing to the person I was marrying about it though. Because I know that would not have turned out to be, a good thing in that moment. But it saved me some money because he did it for free, right? So like, it was almost like, I mean, I'm just not gonna say nothing and we're gonna get a little blessing out of this. That's how I looked at it in the moment. But down the line and after the fact, like after everything was over, after I decided to leave, he caught wind that was the case. And of course he was, he wasn't happy about it. He was a little irritated about it, but he also, I think, tried to be understanding because he was like, I mean, at the end of the day, we ain't have to pay for no DJ. So he was like, I can't be too mad, but I wish that you would have been honest with me, in doing that. But there wasn't any underhanded that went on. Like I wasn't shooting him kisses in the background and you know what I'm saying? It was none of that. Like he DJ'd it. Him and my mom are really cool because he was around the first couple of months of my son's life. So, he has a bond with the people that are around me for different reasons. And so, I'm like, I can't really sever that bond, but I can be respectful of how I move around him and, or when he's around. But I didn't say anything beforehand, but yeah, he DJ'd my wedding and did a damn good job too.
Hmm. I wanted you all to address the next question, please. How do different cultures or societal norms shape the way people view opposite sex friendships? And have you noticed a difference in how opposite sex friendships are perceived at different stages of your life? From like childhood, teenage years to adulthood. Is that opposite sex friendship viewed differently? And in what way?
yeah, I think of course cultural and societal norms play a part because everything goes back to how you were raised and you know what I mean, what your value system is. And everybody doesn't have the same value systems. All cultures are not the same, right? So however you were raised and whatever you subscribe to, that's what's going to be good for you, right? And then in terms of the different stages, I think it starts to get weird once a person is looked upon when you add a sexual overtone to it, right? Like you said, as 5 and 6 and 8, when you're playing in the bed They're on the trampoline. Like nobody's thinking about it being a bad thing. Like a little boy and a little girl being friends. It's not a bad thing. But as soon as puberty kicks in, then the parents start to, well, you guys don't need to, do, you see what I'm saying? Because the grown-ups are looking through it in a sexual way when the kids probably are not even, you know what I'm saying, thinking about that. And then, of course, once you get into late teens and into your adulthood, then it's all driven by, some sort of weird sexual thing. Because, the society that we live in is over sexualized on every level, right? You can't even watch a freaking commercial about a burger without there being some sexual connotation. You know what I'm saying? It's just very weird. It's over sexualized all the time. So of course that's what's happening. People don't look at male, female as being able to coexist without some sort of sexual energy.
I agree with Tavonna in that retrospect because she basically said what I was gonna say. As a kid, for me, I didn't think about, this is a boy, I can't be friends with him, or I can't, be in the same room with him alone. Those were never my thoughts because that's never where my intention was, and that's not where my interest lied. But as far as the older people, that are parenting you, where their minds are at is totally different. So, there were always those moments of, you know, like with my grandmother, you're not allowed upstairs. If you're not family and you don't sleep upstairs, to go upstairs, different things like that. So, but then as I started to, become a teenager, sexual things started to come into play. I understood the difference and the reasons why they would, say the things that they said and be the way, well, really the abuse, really took me there. But as I got older, I really had a better understanding of it. You know what I'm saying? And then as an adult, I also came to understand that you can be male, you can be female, you can be friends. And though there were so many people around me who really don't think that way, I never let it affect how I moved or who I decided to befriend or, how I moved with any of my friends. I just felt like as long as I know where my intentions are, I know what my relationship should look like. So, it definitely plays a part. It plays a role. It's all about allowing someone else to, put their perspective on you and you accept it versus really knowing truly how you feel about a situation and knowing where you lie on that playing field.
Mm, I'm reading the responses. And hey, Evan, welcome everybody that's here. I apologize for this. Chubbs entered, Bubba Love, London. Hello and welcome. We have
Is that
Ferdinand,
Terry?
Fury,
Is that
Terry
Terry?
Matthew, who?
Unique. Is that Terry?
Tamara, Tamara. Unique, what's up? I don't know if he's working. Terry's a longshoreman. So
It's
they just got
I
done
thought
with
it was
strike.
a truck driver.
Well, they have different roles. They have longshoremen that are welders, truck drivers, like they do various things. Yeah, when the containers come in, everyone does some part. You have crane operators and they hand the containers to
Okay.
truck drivers. Truck drivers set them out different places, and they have people that work in the refrigerated areas that mount refrigerators to containers. A lot of different moving parts. This was interesting too. I didn't give this question a lot of thought until now about the difference in how opposite sex friendships are perceived. And for me, unfortunately, when I share these stories about my dad, because we're from a small town, my dad was very well known and his lifestyle was well known. So I never got the benefit of the doubt, with the innocent child thing you talked about, Deborah. I remember being in the second grade and riding a bicycle to my classmate's home. And her dad was, hey, what you want? What you doing here? So I just came to see. I want to know what we have for homework. Oh, no, you're not going up to the door asking. I'll go and ask her. And it was like that. and I was like in
Yeah.
the second grade, first or second grade. So yeah, I never got that benefit of the doubt. And my son, I'll have to ask him if he
But that's a little
received
rough
that grace.
because you're being judged for something that you're not even partaking in to the
Hmm.
extent that you're doing anyways. You get what I'm saying? Especially
Right.
not at that age. And but you're still being judged, and so what does that do for you as a young man?
Yeah. It was a little. How can I describe it? And I knew it. I noticed it. Because the parents would say things like they would, come out and say things. But when I moved to Boston, it was different. We were kids. We were all kids. Saturdays when I lived in at home, boys and girls didn't hang out together when we were kids. We just didn't, unless like your first cousins. But outside of that, the boys and girls weren't allowed to play together. I guess people knew what was going on. They're trying to play house and doing other things. But when I moved to Boston, well, when we moved out in the suburbs, it was different. Kids were kids. Saturday mornings, we would like go to whoever's house and play hide and go seek, and we would like hide out around the apartment complex or just different unisex games we would play, and we were all kids. So I think that, like Tavonna said, different cultures and societal norms, they do shape the way opposite sex friendships are viewed. And I think that in the South, there, I mean, it was just different. Like you don't go out there playing with those little boys, or you aren't seeing with the girls. The girls were kept inside. The boys were made to go outside, and you stayed outside all day. You came in if you had to do something other than tinkle, because that took place in the woods or just outside. When you came in to eat, other than that, the boys were outside and girls were kept inside. So, and I never gave it a lot of thought until now.
The crazy, you know what's so crazy? Like as a kid growing up in the city, being from New York, growing up in the city and then moving to the South, it's so crazy how well disciplined I was when I was up north and how I moved so different up there. Then to move to Georgia and the way that I became so much less disciplined and just started really like getting out and exploring. And I think I don't know if it was because everything was like so far away. So it was almost like there's no way I could run into anyone I know. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like you gotta go a ways to kind of do anything. Whereas in the city, it's way more compacted. You can run into anyone at any time. And though it's that way in the South in a lot of ways, it was just, I don't know, it was different. So when I moved down South, like, I really like opened up in a lot of ways that I definitely was closed off living up North as a kid.
Mm,
I'm
yeah.
reading the question.
Oh yeah. Please read it out so the listeners can hear because they can't see it.
Oh, okay. Can you share a personal experience where a friendship with someone of the opposite sex was misinterpreted by others? Have you ever had a friendship with the opposite sex that evolved into a romantic relationship? How did that transition affect the friendship? I mean, I've had all of those, but like with my best friend, when I started bringing him around the family, because I've never been one to really bring people around my family too tough. So when I started like bringing him around the family, allowing him to come to like different family functions we were having, things like that, everyone would always question like, what y'all got going on? I know you're not just friends with him. He too cute. He too, because he's a very handsome man. And they always just thought like, we were together and we just weren't saying it. And then I started to bring, more of my friend circle around the family. And they more consisted of men more than women. And I think that's when my family started to realize like, oh no, these are really, these are not, people that she's in secret relationships with, because if so, she's just really a hoe because it's a good amount of them, so I think that's like, definitely a moment, especially because like I'll hug my best friend. He'll kiss me on the cheek when he gets a little intoxicated. He's one of those people that love to hug you, all of that. And because I'm his best friend, he's going to do that to me. And I think because of that, people and the fact that we say I love you to each other. Like he tells me he loves me. I tell him I love him when we get off the phone, when we're leaving each other's presents, I'm just like that. If I love you, I'm going to tell you I love you. I want you to know. I don't want, you know what I'm saying? I don't ever want you to question it. So to see me and him like that, I think people just assumed it was way more than what a lot of times, and it wasn't.
One thing I wanted to know
I think
is
all of my male friendships are misinterpreted for the same reason.
why.
Because for some reason people don't think a man can be just my friend. They're like, no way you
Be a
can be
beautiful
my best friend.
and properly being handsome, because you're very beautiful, Tavonna.
Well,
And
thank you.
so
And they're
attractive,
like,
attractive people a lot of times. So
right. And people are just like the male friends that I do have, they be like, ain't no way you just her friend. Like how you and like, no, ain't no way. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's like, nah, we really are like just friends. And so something that gets misinterpreted. And then of course, yes, I did have had friends that have into romantic relationships. And again, it's just now I have a relationship with my best friend. So it's just like I don't have a so it's great.
you want to know
You
what's
said you
funny?
don't have a best friend?
No, I said I now have that my best friend. So it's like than one. But it's so crazy because even within the confines of the relationship, the friendship is not lost. Like it's so crazy because we'll have conversations, right? And it'll be like, okay, I need to talk to my friend. Like we'll start the conversation with, hey, I need to talk to my friend right now. So we shut off, you know what I'm saying? Quote unquote relationship side, right? And it's like, okay, now we're just having a friendship talk. You see what I mean? Like, and we have the ability to do that. And that to me is what makes it special because it's like I can, even though, and then we can in the next breath be talking about something nasty. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it works. For me, it's great.
It can definitely be a benefit in a lot of ways. Sometimes it can go south, but depending on where again, it's always about your intention when you're walking into a situation or when you're moving through a situation. So depending on where your intention lies, it's really going to depend on the outcome that situation, of the potential of that situation. So, the fact that you guys really have the intention of, just in that friendship, taking that space, but also exploring what more it could be and not putting too much pressure on it. You really get to experience how it can blossom and where it can blossom to.
And I think I mean, it's been such a long time. Like we know the ceiling. We're very aware of the ceiling. We're very aware that this is the platform. You know what I'm saying? And things like that. And so at the end of it, and if today we said no more of the relationship, and the crazy part is we've tried to, okay, we're not going to do this part. We're just going to stay in the friendship vein. And then we go back to we go back and forth. So now we're just at the point where it's like, all right, it's no fighting it. It's just going to be like, and just let it be. You know what I'm saying? Like not putting too much pressure on it one way or the other. It just is what it is.
I want to approach our next question. And all right, Tamara, please, if you don't mind, we would like to hear from you because our listeners, we have live listeners, and they cannot see what you all are typing.
Well, Tamara said that the transition can be confusing and complex once romantic and sexual lines are crossed. There's always going to be someone who wants more. So the question is better stated: can men and women ha- just have sex and maintain a friendship? I think, yeah, absolutely they can. Because again, I think you have to have the ability, and those are where those conversations come in. I mean, I would hope that at these big ages, people aren't confusing sex with love and feelings. Like the two are not synonymous, right? It's like, yeah, they can be, but they're not exclusively synonymous. You know what I'm saying? Like you can have just a sexual relationship with someone and be their friend, or you know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's possible.
And not want more. You can
And
definitely
not want more. Exactly.
want more. But again, that comes with communication, right? Uh, this is what we're doing right now in the moment. If this changes for any one of us, let's make sure we're honest about that so that we know either when it's time to cut it off, or at that point, if we're both kind of feeling the same thing, then we know let's take a little bit for whatever you choose to do. But again, it goes back to communication either way it goes. You know what I'm saying? Making sure that both parties know and understand what's happening here. Very
Okay,
true.
Tamara, what would you like to say?
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. Well, I believe that, and I agree with what you ladies just said, that open communication is key. For me, it's always been difficult to maintain a friendship with someone just when certain things are shared, especially sexually, because your body is your temple. So once you share your body with someone, it builds a different type of bond with that person you're sharing it with. It's just a casual type of relationship. But if you're in a friendship with someone and you share yourselves with that person, then it takes your relationship to another level. So the communication is open, whether be friends with benefits or it's going to be a different type of relationship where the boundaries are crossed when they are. You just know what you're getting into. You're not expecting a call back. You're not expecting that "how you doing, baby" kind of text in the morning, all that kind of stuff. It's just what it is. And you're right, we're adults, so you make those decisions, but you also have to realize, are you really truly in a friendship with someone? Are you guys just having sex and not going through
And I think, Tamara, that's where those things come into those other little caveats, like friends with benefits and all these other little titles that, you know what I'm saying, people give it, because it's like, okay, yeah, no, that's just, because if somebody were to ask, you'd be like, oh no, that's just my homeboy. But at the end of the day, your homeboy is definitely knocking the bottom out of it. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like,
and then
you know,
you have that relationship with him, and if you're in a relationship with someone else, how does that also affect the relationship that you're in, whether you're married or you're with someone else, and then you have your friend with benefits?
oh, well, now you got to be honest. Like, to me, that you definitely, you can't do that. Like, again, I think we said it in kind of the beginning. You have to be able to establish what your relationship covenant, whatever relationship you're in, marriage, whatever, establish what that means. If you guys have agreed to be mutually exclusive and all others, if you have agreed to that, then that is the expectation. If you need that to change for you, you have to come to the table with your partner and say, hey, I need to renegotiate what we already agreed to, and let that person decide whether or not they accept the new terms of the deal. And that's what a lot of people don't do. Go out, do what they do, pray that the other person don't find out. Then when they do find out eventually, then it's, oh, I'm so sorry. When all you should have just done in the first place is be honest.
If that's how you decide to roll. You're right. There's some relationships also, and I came in kind of like in the middle of the podcast, so I didn't hear the beginning part, but like I always kind of like, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. You're in a situation where you may have met this person first and you have that friendship with him. So you move into another relationship when you guys are on and off for years or whatever the case may be, you know, can you have a relationship with someone, still have friends with benefits and then make that work. That's where I'm coming in with that caveat.
Yes, you have to still be honest though. Like, cause that was kind of how my situation, I knew this person prior.
Your phone went out, Tavonna.
Yeah. We were not like that, but I made it very clear this who is a very, very close friend. Yes, there is a past. Yes, there is a history, and I cannot promise that it won't go back to that. Right. So again, it's something that you have to do up front. And if the person says, okay, I can deal with that, then you move forward. If they say, no, I can't, then you don't. But the not being honest about it is what's going to always cause the problem, in my opinion.
Right, because as the other, as the man in the situation, he can just, for me, it can be a thing where it's like, I'm fine with that as long as if that time comes, you let me know before it happens. You get what I'm saying? And then that way you guys know and understand that you can have that open line of communication there, so that if that's what you choose to do, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then for me, if I was in that situation, I'd also say that, all right, well, if this time do come, like, let's be clear that it shouldn't be a problem because we're agreeing right here, right now, as to what the terms of this is going to look like.
Absolutely. And that's what, and then, I mean, and then on the other side of that, Deborah, people make them agreements. And when the time comes, they get amnesia like they didn't already agree. Right? Now you mad. Now you upset. You already agreed to this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, now you in your feelings, but you agreed to it when we talked about it.
Right, 100%.
Well, can you all see my last question, the final question? I'm going to
What
post
role
it
does
again.
What role does friendship with the opposite sex, either within the friendship or from outside parties? Oh, a big role, because jealousy and although those are emotions, right? It's an emotion. And so it's normal. It can happen. Like I've had the friend be a little like, oh, well, you're my friend and I don't get to talk to you now because you got this dude. Da, 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 da. You know what I'm saying? You got that side. Or then you have your dude who's like, I don't think your friend should be getting that much of your time because I'm your man. You know what I'm saying? So again, those things can creep in, but at the end of the day, that communication has to be established. Listen, I have this person in my life. They're my friend. They're going to be around. I'm not cutting off time with them. I'm not doing none of that. Or, hey friend, I'm cutting off your time because I need to focus on my man. Like, you know what I'm saying? So again, you got to have these open, honest conversations.
Ladies, we have our caller in. Please share what you said with us. Your name is coming up with just a series of characters. So I don't know. It's like the EIGK. I don't know what you go by, but you didn't create a username. And I noticed you did type something earlier about you did eventually deal with one opposite sex friend, and who you never viewed as a side piece before because she allowed drinking to affect her one night. Please tell us more about that. Our live caller, you're in. We'll go to the next part of our question. How do you handle situations where a partner or friend feels insecure about your opposite sex friendship? That's interesting.
Yeah, well, eventually that person probably gonna get left. I don't have time for insecurity. It's one of those deal breakers. I don't really ain't secure in who they are. If it's just kind of weird to me at this big age. Like you gotta be secure.
Right. Like it says, I'll communicate with you. I'll be transparent with you. But if it continues to be a topic of conversation, then you gotta go because that type of stuff is just unnecessary.
And I ain't about to have the same conversation over and over. We done had it one time. I might give you
Right.
a second time, but I ain't having it more than twice. I can promise you.
Right. At all. At all.
Y'all are mean.
Once you put it
I
out,
don't think so. Because if the shoe is on the other foot, like just put the shoe on the other foot, Koshon. If we had this conversation, right? If I feel some type of way about your woman friend and we didn't had this conversation and you tell me, listen, I'll be honest with you, I'll be transparent with you about whatever it is here, and I continue to bring it up, you just gonna be okay with that? You just gonna
Nope, because then he gonna say you being nagging, because they like that word nagging. Asking me about my friend. So yeah, no, it works both ways. We don't want that nagging crap either, and dudes do that. Nobody. I'm not about to have no conversation 11 times right now.
No, are you getting mad attitude because you looking on my phone call list and you see his name there? Like you have to be secure in your relationship. People, whether
You get to going in the phone now, we definitely done. I ain't dealing with that.
yeah.
Cause no, I'm not putting passcodes and all. I ain't doing all that. You going in my phone, we can't be together because there's no trust. Like that's weird.
For me, is if you go looking, you find it, and that's on you for however you respond.
Thank you. That part, bloop bloop, cause I ain't deleting nothing. So
right.
just know it's
Oh,
there.
repeat that.
If you go looking for it and you find it, it's on you because you're going through my personal things. I feel that even though you may be with somebody, I'm still an individual. So you have no right to go through my phones, my drawers, my purse, none of that. And if you decide to and you find something you don't like, that's on you.
Yeah, right. And I ain't gonna deflect either. You come and ask me. I ain't gonna be like, why is you going through my phone? I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, that's what you found? All right, cool. Like what is it talk? And my thing is, you went looking, you found it. What, you done got your answers already. What you need me to do? Confirm what your eyes already saw? You seen it. What we talking about?
Right. Like this doesn't need to be
No, this ain't a conversation. You did what you did. Instead of just come and ask me, you went and looked and got it for yourself. So we don't need to have a conversation.
100%.
That part.
Now that you know, move. Like,
Right.
that's about it.
That's the conversation we gonna have. So what you want to do about it then? Like, so where we go from here? Let me know so I know how to move. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and you know what I actually stopped doing? I stopped giving them that kind of options. You ain't gotta tell me. I'm gonna tell you. Like, I'm gonna make the decision for us. Cause I'm not about to sit around here and wait for you to decide how we gonna move. No, I'm gonna move and you move, period. And if we move in the same direction, great. But yeah, no.
Right. I agree with that 100%. 100%.
And I ain't never been that girl. Like, I'm not going through everything that I've ever found out is because it fell in my lap. I ain't never had to go through no phone. I ain't never had to, like, I ain't doing all of that. If I need to know and you lying, now it's gonna fall right in my lap. I ain't never had to look.
And that's the thing. Like I'm a firm believer. Like I'm not gonna do anything to you that I don't want you doing to me. Which means, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna go through your phone the same way I don't need you to try to go through mine. You know what I'm saying? And we just gonna kind of keep it like that.
That's it.
And most of the time when a dude go through your phone, they mad at you and your home group. First of all, like, safe space. Like, if you look at that, you gonna be mad. Cause we definitely talking about everything under the sun, everything and everybody. So if you go in that group chat, you prepare yourself to be mad. It don't even be like messages from other dudes or nothing like that. They mad about you and your homegirls group chat.
Right.
Everybody should know what's in a group chat.
Everything.
That's the nickname they got, saying amongst the group because
Look ugly.
Look
Ugly.
Look at leg, he up there.
Oh my God. Oh, that's a swear to God that happened to me. It was like, oh, so you in this group chat talking about such and such is fine from 20 years ago to this day. Like, to this idiot, and he is show did. I'm not blind. I can see. Like, what do you expect me
Right.
to say? He's still fine to this day. Probably more fine from back then. Like, what you want me to say?
Yeah, that's crazy that men even worry about things like that.
And they do.
No, they do.
But I think that women get upset about things like that as well. They just don't talk about it as often because to some women it's funny or a joke, a running joke. to say how upset men get when they find out or shoes on the other foot or something. But a lot of women get upset as well when men, make comments about other women or men share messages and photos, things like that.
That might be insecurity on her part as well.
Yeah,
'Cause
and see,
Go ahead.
I'm a weird type of girl. Like, I'm the girl at the club or wherever with my man, like, yo, her booty is so big. Did you see her butt? Like, that's me. So I don't have them kind of, right. Like, we don't have them kind of problems. Cause I'm,
Back.
what you saw, I saw too. My eyes work just as well as yours. So,
Right.
And that's how
And
it
you see
should
the way
be.
that booty jiggle.
Hmm.
But a lot of men know that that's not common. So I think that they either try not to engage and being around some guys in different groups, some, husbands groups, some frat groups and different things like that. There are a lot of men out there that really think that they should just not engage at all. They shouldn't look at porn. They shouldn't look at, you know, Instagram models or TikTok models or whatever they are, that they just should not look at it. And definitely should not be chatting or texting with other men about it. And you have others that are, look, man, this stuff is harmless. Like, this is a woman, I don't know who she is. She's on TikTok. Her booty was shaking like a slinky, and I shared it with the fellas. You know, and that's that. That, nothing more. I'll never see this person in my life.
Not a
Yeah,
swing.
you know how the slinky goes from one side to the other side. Y'all ever had a slinky? One side in the right hand, one in the left, and
yes.
that thing be rolling and wobbling like that. Yeah. So when they see videos like that, guys would share those things, and you share with one another, and
Just like how we share as well. You're absolutely right.
yeah, that's
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's obvious.
Trust and
That
believe. Let me tell you, and this is, and I think this is what people really like to have real conversations sometimes, because trust and believe. If you like, and I think it's like I don't know how dudes do it, but I know girls, if you send a pic, you know the kind of pic. If you send a pic
it goes all over
in the group chat, like, just don't even
immediately.
worry about it.
Immediate,
Like,
yeah, immediately.
trust and believe, because she going straight to the group chat and be like, girl, let me show you. Now, we might not say who it is. We might crock your face out, whatever, but to, keep your
Right.
identity concealed. But trust and believe is going in the
Yeah. I mean,
group chat.
and
I know dudes that
guys
do the
don't.
same thing.
Most
I
guys
know dudes
don't.
that do.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys will, but most guys
Yeah,
don't.
see, I don't know about group chat, but
Right. It doesn't, and it depends on the dynamic of that relationship. If it's something like,
Oh, Koshon, hold on. We need to get what's this person. We need to get them in the thing, because he just, I don't know if it's a he or a she, but they said the trigger word, or women are by nature more emotional. Please get them in here. Get the sound working. Like, get it. Get
we
it.
were trying to get them in, but I'm going to read this response. Women are by nature more emotional than men, so they'll have more jealousy as a whole. Because I think a lot of men don't even care what a female does if he doesn't really care for her, while women will attach to the worst men who they know don't care for them.
well,
Okay. I was objecting in the beginning. I can kind of relate and see where he closed out in the end, that a lot of men don't even care what a female does if he not really care for her, while women will attach to the worst men who they know don't care for them. Yeah, we need you to come in and clarify. We want you to take a seat
baby. Yeah.
or try speaking for us.
My phone is hearing a lot of crazy sounds, like everyone is coming in
Coming in
broken.
broken. Oh, well, try to disconnect and come back in. Like,
Okay.
you log out, disconnect, and then come in again.
because the whole jealousy as a whole. I mean, I think people are emotional creatures, period, whether male or women. So that's a really blanketed statement there.
I don't like that statement at all.
And
Anything
men can attach themselves to the worst females and vice versa. So
Andrew.
we need
Well, do
clarification.
you all agree that more women are emotional than men?
Nope.
How you going to sleep? You already slept most of the day.
You know,
Deborah, we heard you.
Oh, I'm sorry. It depends on the person. I don't think
I don't
necessarily
think
that a
I don't
man is
think it's a
more.
man woman thing. I think it, like Tamara said, it's the person. It's no such, and we've already established this, that men and women are pretty much the same. It's just about the programming that they receive, right? Because when you
right.
think about it, men, when you talk about women are more emotional, that's a lie. It's just that it's outwardly shown more maybe with a woman, but in terms of being quote unquote more emotional, men, you you can see their emotional responses to things. If a man gets cheated on, that emotional response is going to be right because
What is his emotional response?
huh?
What is his emotional response?
His emotional response is usually going to be either anger or some show, their sadness or whatever, quick to be dismissive, right? Oh, well, I don't want her no more. I'm out of here. Da, 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 da. Or he will have a emotional response that comes across in the physical form. Oh, well, he just gonna go out here and cheat back, or he gonna go out here and be with 11 other women. So it's still an emotional response, even though it's not. People think when they think emotional responses, it has to be crying or it has to be this, that. That's why men are how many more times more likely to commit the domestic violence and kill their partners. And that is an emotional response.
Hmm.
I would say that I'm a very emotional person myself, but you have to be able also, like you said, to have that clear communication and put things in perspective. So if you're in a situation and you are both consensual in a relationship and you have this understanding, then for me, it is what it is. So, you can be emotional and have those ties to someone and not deal with the fact of being jealous or, attaching yourself to the worst type of person. Yeah.
The worst part of the person. I like that.
And I think it shows, the emotions, so to speak, why people tend to think women are more emotional is because they allow it to show up. Men, I think, are just as emotional, but because of how they are trained and taught, they internalize the emotion. So just because we can't see it on the outside doesn't mean it's not happening on the inside. So therefore, because they tend to allow their emotions to be on their sleeve, it it gives the illusion that women are more emotional.
When I think about the disparity, I think about from a decision making perspective. And I've encountered a lot of emotional men as well. I have. I've from what I've noticed is the difference, in my opinion, is like the type of brain that person has. Are they like, do they use logic and reasoning in decision making, or do they use emotions to drive their decisions? That's how I view it. More so of the response, because I agree that, certain traumatic experiences, women may display their emotions outwardly. That doesn't mean that a man is not affected by death, is not affected by a breakup, is not affected by the loss of a job, right? They just express their emotions differently. Some men may go into isolation and seclusion. That's their way to express themselves or to deal with certain situations. But I was thinking about just the logic and the reasoning behind their actions and why they do things. What's driving it? Are you driven by emotions, or did you take the time and, do a logic table to say, if I do this, these are the outcomes. If I do that, those are the outcomes. Not just, ooh, this is how I feel, this is what I'm going to do. So that is what I was thinking about with the disparity of men and women. And it does come back to how you were raised, because I was taught to think a certain way, and by my father. And of course, my uncles thought that way. The men in my family did. So it's different seeing these new model men, and it's wrong. I stereotype them, and I say they're raised by single mothers or raised by women, because I subscribe to it like, hey, these emotional decisions are emotional responses and not responses that apply logic and reasoning. So I wish that our guests could get their technical difficulties worked out so we can see what our response was. And he also said that he eventually dealt with one opposite sex friend, never viewed as a side piece before, because she allowed drinking to affect her one typical night. And he said he never drank alcohol. And that's one of the problems with opposite sex relationships. Alcohol and drugs can make friends cross the line, in addition to malice towards their man or woman. In other words, when you get mad and said, the heck with it, I'm going to sleep with my friend tonight. Oh, and I forgot to mention, when a person is getting a lack of sex. That's interesting. When they get a lack of sex, would that cause you to go out and be intimate with someone else? And this is Marvin. So Marvin said the conversation is still coming in broken. So he was going to try logging out, then back in. But I think it's his Wi-Fi strength, because they switched from Xfinity and just found out that it's not high speed. They don't have 5G fiber network in this area. Okay. So Marvin, yeah, we would love for you to explain yourself, and the women would love the feedback. Welcome, welcome. And when you get some time, one of them can direct you into editing your username. I've been on here so long on the platform, I don't remember exactly how it's done, but you can change your username to show what it says. But
I think if you're ever trying to use something emotionally to get back at someone, you're going to be coming out on the losing end, period. I mean, if you're just going off of emotions and acting out just because you're emotionally charged, it's always going to end up having a negative backlash or negative result, period. But if you are emotional and you're thinking clearly and you're doing what you're doing, and you just realize that whatever the outcome is going to be what it is, then that's another state of being, emotionally charged, but responsible, in my opinion.
hey, I have a share story, and
Mm-hmm.
I know I'll get cussed out about this later, but I was dating somebody like 20 something years ago, right? And I went to a football game, parked, and rolled with some friends after the game. It was a day game. We rolled out, and they took me to this house with one of their friends. We were in there playing cards. So I was like, yo, some time had passed. I haven't spoken to my girlfriend in a while. So I tried calling her, no reception. I was like, oh crap, I wonder how long this has been going on. So anyway, I went outside, walked like out to the driveway. This was early 2000, '01 or something. You got to hold the phone up in the air. And I called. She was upset. I could tell she was upset. And I said, I'm at, around with my boys. She was like, you need to get your butt here. You've been gone since this morning. It was a 1 o'clock game. It ended at 4. It's 8 o'clock, blah, blah, blah. I was like, as soon as he takes me back to my car, I'm coming back to Charleston. And, she kept going on. She kept calling. So every like 10 or so minutes, I'm like, hey man, we got to ride. The guy's going to clown me. I can deal with that. But when I went out the last time, a young lady walked out to call my name, because we were playing spades and it was like my turn. And my friends called me by my nickname. She didn't know me, so she repeated the nickname. And my girlfriend at the time, she got livid. She was like, who is that MF? And why is she calling you such and such? She doesn't know you like that, and blah, blah, blah. And she recognized the girl's voice. They had went to college together, had some run-ins or whatever. So it escalated, and she hung up and was pissed. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go down. And anyway, long story short, she was upset, went out, hung out, did whatever. And not to make excuse for why she did what she did, but that actually ended our relationship because of that emotional reaction and response, when it was something completely innocent. Nothing happened. Nothing was going on. I didn't even know I was. But, I learned that you don't make brash and irrational emotional decisions that way. And we're getting down, you all. We're down to our final 90 seconds. So please, closing words, remarks, and Marvin, hopefully you can get in the next time. These 2 hours go by so fast, I swear. I want to thank everyone for being here. Tavonna, Tamara, Deborah, our callers, our listeners. I want to thank everyone.
Great
We
show
all
as
have,
always.
Of course. Thank you.
in our final 60 seconds. What are your final thoughts, questions, concerns?
Be honest, people. Honesty, honesty, honesty.
And transparency, please.
Honesty, transparency, Tamara.
I always try. It's all about making sure that you are also honest with yourself. So honesty, transparency,
Oh,
and all with yourself. So
that
yeah.
is very important, being honest with yourself. And we're going to work on Tawana with those edited vowels that she said. I like
Oh boy, yeah. I ain't
with
getting
the
that,
omissions,
Crystal. You ain't
the
gonna get no
edited
fast.
and the omissions in the vowels. If I didn't say every night and I don't cook every night, then there's no foul, right? Because I never
There you
agreed to it. I
go.
like that.
Correct.
We're going to see you on